There's this meme that says, "Tell me you went to Sunday school without saying you went to Sunday school." Father Abraham, you ready? Good morning and welcome to Grace on this snowy morning. We're so glad you're here joining with us and brave the cold. Those of you who are online, we're glad you're joining us as well. Let's begin with some praise and worship. 1, 2, ready, go. Nothing can separate, even if I run away, your love never fails. I know I still make mistakes, but you have new mercies for me every day, your love never fails. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. The wind is strong and the water's deep. I'm not alone here in the open seas, 'cause your love never fails. The chasm is far too wide. I never thought I'd reach the other side, 'cause your love never fails. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You make all things work together for my good. You stay the same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so good to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't turn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't turn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no
You can be seated. Good morning and welcome to Grace. I'm so excited that you're here with us today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing something called the Not So Newlywed Game. So can you please welcome to the stage the Bat family? Oh yeah. And the Sims family. These two couples will be facing head-to-head in a challenge of who knows the most about their spouse. Do you think that the Sims family knows more about each other? Clap, let's see it. Okay. Online, if you're watching online, tell us if you think the Sims are gonna win. Or do you think the Bat family, who's been married for ages, will know about each other? So we're so excited for this. This game is just like the Newlyweds game, but seeing as these two couples are not newlyweds, this will be called the Not So Newlyweds game. So each couple will have a whiteboard. They will be writing the answers to the question that I asked them on the whiteboard without the other person cheating and seeing. After they answer the question, they'll reveal their answers, speak into the microphone, and tell us what your answer was, and then we'll tally up the points. The winner has a special gift that we will be giving to them, which will be a date night where the Byfords will show up and sing some lovely songs in the background and you know, serenade these couples together. So I'm super excited about this. We're gonna start with the husbands. So husbands, you will be answering this question about your wife. So you have to write down what you think your wife is going to say. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. For the husbands, what is your spouse's biggest pet peeve? What is your spouse's biggest pet peeve? Blake, we need to know what Christy hates. Scott, we need to know what Casey hates. What do you think the answer is? Casey said, what if she doesn't know what she hates? Let's see what they got. Your answers? Ready for your answers? Nope? Okay. Think about this for you too. What do you think in the audience? Could you guess what your spouse's biggest pet peeve is? You don't have a spouse. Okay, I'm going to give you a 3-second countdown. 3, 2, 1. We're going to start over here with the Sims family. Okay, Scott, what do you think your spouse's biggest pet peeve is? Reveal the answer.
Me.
Oh, Scott said me. Let's see what Casey's was.
Well, it's something he does.
Oh, laundry in the living room. Okay, I'm not going to give you credit for that.
Well, it should be dirty laundry.
Oh, oh yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, Blake.
She hates the TV.
Really?
That's true.
Okay, TV. You
That's
hate the
not
TV.
what I said, though.
Whoa.
I said loud sneezes.
Oh. Okay, great. We got 0 to 0. Let's erase the boards and start with the next question. This next question is going to be for the wives. The question is, how does your spouse like their eggs cooked? We're going to go with a little bit more of a simpler question since the last one was a little more difficult. So I want to know from Casey what you think, or how you think Scott likes his eggs cooked. Same for this couple here. How do you think Blake likes his eggs cooked? It's got to be word for word. So you ready for this? Scrambled.
Scrambled.
Good job, Sims family. We got a point here. Let's see. Yeah, clap. That's great.
Over easy.
And over medium. Oh, no! Oh, no!
Keep the food questions.
You just like it runny.
Runny eggs,
Over
but
easy.
over medium's a little less runny than over easy. So, okay. So the score
this
right
time.
now is 1 Sims family, 0 Bat family. It's okay, we still have a couple more rounds, so there's time for redemption. The next question is for the husbands, and it is, what is the least favorite meal your spouse cooks? So Christy, you have to guess what you think he's going to say. So what you think the worst meal that you cook is, and you have to write what the worst meal that she cooks is. Does that make sense? You don't cook? So you're going to lose this round by default. But what is the worst thing that she cooks? And then you have to guess what Scott is going to say. This one was intended to create a little bit of drama on stage for that dramatic effect. So hopefully this Valentine's Day is not ruined by this one question. We'll start over with the Bat family on this one.
I'm going to say anything creamy. It has a lot of cream sauce. I don't
Okay,
know.
let's see. If it.
I just love it all.
Oh,
Suck up.
so sweet. Okay, so no point here. He forfeited that point. Let's see what the Sims family says. What do you think he's gonna say? Broccoli, rice, chicken, crock pot, gross. Is that the name of it?
No, but I cooked it and it was disgusting.
Okay.
I ate it, and I was like, "Ugh."
At least she can like acknowledge that. That's good. Let's.
Remember
No, I ate it.
that? And it was bad.
I just put fish.
Fish.
We don't
How are we so bad at this?
Y'all are not doing well here. This is not so newlyweds game. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the wives. This one's a little bit easier. I'm trying to give y'all a break here, but I want to know what your spouse's favorite local restaurant is. It's got to be Midland, Odessa only. So you'll write down what you think Blake's favorite local restaurant is, and you'll write what your favorite local restaurant is, and you will do the same over here.
My favorite is?
No, what his favorite is.
Why is it all about him? Mine would have been easy.
It's got to be Midland, Odessa. Y'all throw out some ideas in the audience. What do you think the best local restaurant is here in Odessa, Midland? Mi Piaci, Dos Compadres, Longhorn Cafe. I've never eaten there. Chick-fil-A. That doesn't count, Ben. Okay, you ready? Start over here.
I'm so bad at this. I just said the old faithful.
Whoa, we got a point! What was that? Like a high five, hug? That's a weird not newlyweds thing right there. Okay, let's see over here. Okay, Red Oak Cafe and Red Oak Cafe. Look, we got 2 points. So the Sims family has 2 points and the Bat family has 1 point. So let's go to the next round. The next round is for the husbands. What does your wife spend all of your money on? What does your wife spend all of your money on? Wives, what do you spend all of your husband's money on? Uh-oh.
If you think junk,
Let's see what we got here. Did you write yours already? Oh, that was quick. She knows what she spends her money on. Okay, let's start with the Bat family.
There's boxes at my doorstep every day.
Amazon! Woo! 2 points
I
Bats,
don't even
2
know what
points
they are.
Sims. Let's see what they say here. The answer is Amazon stuff we don't need and decorations. Well, that's probably stuff you don't need. We're not going to count that one. So now it's time for the tiebreaker. This is the last question, and then we will determine who our winner is. So this question is for the wives. If your spouse had 5 extra hours in a day, what would they do with that time? If your spouse had 5 extra hours in a day, what would they do with that time? So it's what you would do, and she's guessing what you're going to say. Christy's got this.
I don't know if he got it, but I got it.
What, 5 hours? I mean, there's so much you could do, but it's just one thing, the most important thing that you would do. I have a guess for Blake.
well, I could pick flakes.
Okay.
What is it?
Washing your hands. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say golf.
Okay, here goes. This is potentially the
If I
tiebreaker.
get flakes, do I get a point?
Right? Okay, so Casey, what did you put?
My guess for Blake is golf.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see what's. Watch videos for Scott. We have cars. No. If you
Well,
guys get
watch
this
videos
right,
about cars.
No, he
you were
doesn't
the
know. He
winners.
didn't give me 5 hours.
Ready?
Episodes
Golf.
of The Office.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay,
That actually is true.
one last question. One last question that we'll go to. This should be easy, so this is definitely going to be the tiebreaker here. And the question is, if your spouse, so this is for you to Casey, if your spouse could go anywhere in the world, where would she go? If your spouse could go anywhere in the world, where would she go? Where would you guys go? Italy. Israel, yeah, that's the Christian answer, right? Did you say Costco? Oh, Alaska. Okay, let's see who the winners are. Casey, the beach,
put Ireland.
Ireland,
Oh, that'd work too. Anywhere,
and
anywhere.
here we
but here.
go, Italy and
Italia.
oh yeah! And the winner of the Not So Newlyweds game is the Bat family. Thank you guys so much for playing. I appreciate it. Now we're going to continue in a time of worship. If you'll stand and sing with us, we're so excited that you're here on this Valentine's Day, and we hope that wherever you are at and whatever you are doing, you have a very special Valentine's Day.
Sing, He is jealous for me. One more time. And He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. Yeah, He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves. And we are His portion, and He is our prize. Drawn to redemption by the grace in His eyes. And if grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. And heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. And I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves. And we are His portion, and He is our prize. Drawn to redemption by the grace in His eyes. And if grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. And heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and and my heart turns violently inside of my chest, and I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way. Sing this with us, church. And oh, how he loves us all. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us all. You know, if you look in Scripture, there's over and over and over verse after verse after verse that mention the word love. And just a tiny study will show you that it's not even the same word in the original language. It's words that mean so many different things. And I think love can be confusing, right? It can mean a lot of things in a lot of different contexts and to a lot of different people. I think it's interesting that when Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? He basically said to love God and to love others. And he made it sound so simple, but every day it's not. In our everyday lives, it's super difficult. We have the opportunity at our house, our friends have a almost 2-year-old. And when he comes to our house, whenever we want him to say anything, we say it a bunch of times and then he copies it, which doesn't always go well because we have a house full of teenagers, but we say it and then he copies it over and over and over again. And I think that's the way that God intended for us to learn how to love. He did it and now we copy it. He did it again and we copy it. So this morning, if you're feeling hard to love those around you or even to love the Lord, I want to remind you that he taught us how because he loved us first. Jesus, you endured my pain. Savior, you bore all of my shame, all because of your love. Sing, Maker of the universe. Maker of the universe, broken for the sins of the earth, all because of your love, all because of your love, because of your cross, my debt is paid, because of your blood, my sins are washed away. Now all of my life I freely give, because of your love, because of your love I live. Innocent and holy King, you died to set the captive free, all because of your love. Lord, you gave your life for me, so I will live my life for you, all because of your love, all because of your love. Sing it out, because of your love, because of your cross, my debt is paid, because of your blood, my sins are washed away. Now all of my life You did it for me. You did it for love. It's your victory. Jesus, you are enough. You did it for me. You did it for love. It's your victory. Jesus, you are enough.
You did it for me. You did it
For love, it's your victory. Jesus, you are enough. Because of your cross, my debt is paid. Because of your blood, my sins are washed away. Now all of my life I freely give. Because of your love, because of your love,
Because of your cross, my debt is paid. Because of your blood, my sins are washed away. Now all of my life I freely give. Because of your love, because of your love.
I live.
You can be seated. As we enter this time of communion in our worship service, I think Valentine's Day can be filled with so many emotions, whether you've been with the love of your life for 50 plus years, or whether this is your first year without that Valentine. There are people in this room and people online that may be going through a difficult time in their marriage. Maybe they've recently gone through a divorce. Maybe this is the year that God has been redeeming your marriage. There's different ends of the spectrum that we can be on when it comes to love, but the one thing that we can count on is our one true love, Jesus Christ, who died on the cross to show us his love. And so my encouragement for all of you that are in this room and those watching online is that no matter where you are at in your relationship with your Valentine, maybe you're waiting for that relationship, hold tight to this. God is with you. God goes before you, and he's making a way for you to spend eternity with him in heaven. You've grabbed the elements before you on your way into the sanctuary. If you didn't get those, you can raise your hand and we will make sure those get to you. But right now, we're just going to spend a few moments of silence as we thank God for the love that he has given us and the love that he's shown us through his son, Jesus Christ. God, we thank you so much for the love that you've shown us through sending your one and only Son to die on the cross. Even when we were sinners, you died for us. God, I know that we are not perfect and that we don't make perfect choices in the way that we love others or the way that we love you, but God, your blood makes us perfect. God, as we continue in this time of worship, we ask that you would be with us, that you would be with Pastor Ben as he brings forth your word. God, that you would instill in us a heart for your church and a heart for your people. It's in your name that we pray all of these things. Amen.
good morning, church. Thanks for being here in person and online as well. There is a story where a husband, he's reading an article to his wife. He's like, hey, honey, you got to listen to this. It says here that women speak 30,000 words a day, and men only speak 15,000. And so then the wife yelled back, that's because I always have to repeat everything I say to you. And to that, the husband said, what? Right? Like, today on Valentine's Day, we are going to be talking about how we use our words. All right? And though, really beginning to think, how does God want us to speak? How does he want us to talk? How does he call us as Christians to use this amazing gift that he's given us of speech? I don't know if you've paused lately and said, all right, like I need to kind of watch this. But during this series, what we're trying to do is say, hey, we don't want to be like everybody else. No, we want to be the people that God has called us to be. We want to, in a sense, live in unordinary ways. Not weird and awkward, right? Not crazy Christians that we've seen yelling out just hate speech at times, but saying, man, how do we be like Jesus? How do we be like Jesus? And so we actually looked at a verse last week, and I just wanted to point our mind back to this. We won't have it on the screen, but we talked about this narrow gate that we should walk through. Instead of saying, oh, everybody's going that way, God gave us this narrow gate to walk through. We read this verse in Matthew chapter 7, verses 13, 14. It says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only few find it. Right? Today, we want to talk through what does it look like to walk through that narrow gate that leads to life, even in the way that we use our words. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in my life, I have heard more than my share of somebody saying, watch your mouth. Right? Have you ever had this happen? Now, it's even more difficult when they say watch your mouth and then they grab your earlobe, right? I feel like grandparents are great for this. So if grandparents in the room, if you haven't started that yet, now is your time, all right? And so this past week, I wanted to be able to say this phrase to some kids that were on the park, right? So Tuesday, I take my kiddos to the park. We land there, and quickly I realized there's like 10 or 15 kids at the park. And they're all there hanging out, probably between elementary all the way to middle school students. And as we're getting out of the car and we're walking up to it, I quickly realized that there are no parents around anywhere, all right? And the kids are just having fun and hanging out. And then I quickly realized, man, I am hearing some amazingly colorful language, coming out of all of these kids' mouths. And I'm thinking in this moment, oh no, my kids' precious ears, right? Like, I'm kind of thinking that a little bit like, man, I don't know that they've ever heard a lot of this language before, but we're still going out to the park, and it's funny, like, there's this kid hanging out. He's got to be in early elementary. I called him Spider-Man because I didn't know his name. He's wearing a Spider-Man shirt, and I'm like, hey, Spider-Man, how's it going, man? Like, just like trying to be nice, but they're yelling out all this stuff, and I just want to be like, watch your mouth. And as I'm kind of dealing with this wrestling in the heart, like, it takes a village to raise some kids. Maybe I should say something. Or like, these kids are going to think I'm creepy. Some dude yelling at them about watching their mouth. In that moment, I felt God say this, Ben, that was you. That was you. Because the truth is, for me, I knew how to play this card growing up, right? Where I would be around my parents in the right settings, and I would talk the right way. But then I ran around with my brother and his older friends all the time, so I learned a lot of things at a really young age. And just like I looked at these little kids like, why are you talking like this? God was saying to me, Ben, that was you at that age. And honestly, part of my testimony, part of my story about where God has brought me in my life was a point when he had said, you had already given your life to me, Ben, but you haven't given your words over to me yet. You hadn't given your words over to me. And it took a few years for me to start to realize, you know what, God, like I do need to really clean this up. This is a change that needs to come into the way that I talk so that I'm not just trying to fit in with everybody else, right? Going down this wide road, but I'm trying to really say, hey, God, how do you want me to talk? How do you want me to speak? You know, have you ever had God tell you, watch your mouth, right? Maybe he hasn't grabbed your earlobe, but have you ever had him say, hey, pay attention. Pay attention to how you're speaking, what impact that's having on the world around you. Today, I want us to dive into this topic, and we're going to be camping out in Matthew chapter 12, if you have your Bible and you want to go there, or we're going to have it on the screens as well. But so often when we think about our words, and in this, I always like to think about it this way, that our words are like a gateway sin, right? Growing up, I always heard marijuana is a gateway drug, right? You guys have heard that. It's going to lead to worse things. And as I talked to youth for a number of years in ministry, I would tell them, I think that our words are a gateway to bigger sins, right? It's those things that we kind of get away with at times, that we kind of sneak in, that when we're around, a certain crowd, we can talk this way, or when we're around another one, we kind of clean it up a little bit. But I think that for kids, but then even us as adults, it becomes a slippery slope of how we take this step forward with our words, and then eventually we find ourselves doing more serious sins. But not only is our words, I think, a gateway to bigger sins, but the Bible tells us that it's a gauge for what's really going on in our hearts and our lives. Look at what Matthew chapter 12 says, starting in verse 35. Jesus says this, "A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him. And an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him. But I tell you that everyone will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every empty word that they have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned." So let's camp out in the first part here, where it says, hey, our words, it's pointing to, shows the good that's in us or shows the evil that's in us. The way that we gossip, the way that we lie, the way that we tell coarse jokes, right? Like our words begin to point to, hey, what's going on the inside of us? He's saying it's saying, hey, it's not just a problem with our mouth. It's actually pointing to something deeper inside of us. There's good, there's bad. And I think about in this that so often we like to just think about, hey, there's certain words that are bad, right? Certain words that are bad that, hey, you wouldn't want to use this in. And, I used to really think that it was just that simple, that, oh, it's just certain bad words that you shouldn't use. But the reality is that it's not necessarily a word that is bad. Actually, in preparing for this, I started thinking about how Jesus says early on, a couple of verses before this, or chapters, sorry, in Matthew chapter 5, he's talking about murderers. He's talking about, hey, it's not just about murder, but he starts talking about words. And then he goes into saying this, but I tell you that if anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment, again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, "Raka," is answerable to the court. And I used to think, you know what? I've never used the word raka, and I don't ever plan to use the word raka. And if I did, I don't think I'd be answerable to court. And I started thinking, one of our elders, his last name is Raka, right? Like a former preacher of ours, Oh, it's Italian. Okay. I mean, it is spelled a little bit different, Clark, but luckily, nobody's been sent to court because they used the word rocca, right? It's not as simple as us saying, all right, I'm going to start thinking about my words. I just can't use those, those 4-letter words and there's 5-letter words. It's bigger than that, right? It really is bigger. This isn't something where I'm saying, hey, if you say that, oh, you're just wrong and bad. Because, and I feel like I could step on some toes here, is that you may use one of those words, and it might be in a context where I don't think that God's saying, oh, you're wrong for using a cuss word. Right? Just like if we were to use the word raka today, and we weren't talking about Clark, that I don't think that you're in danger of anything. But at the same time, I don't think that we need to talk like the rest of the world. I think that what God is calling us to and what I'm hoping that we would look at as a church is really saying, what is the heart behind our words? Right? If we use language that's vulgar, what's the heart behind that? If we're going to gossip or lie or slander people, what's the heart behind that? Because that's what God is really getting at when it comes to our words. Now, the Bible does have lots of things to say about our words, and I could probably read a lot about that, but I only want to point us to a few in Colossians. So Colossians chapter 3, verse 8 says this. And this is Paul writing to believers, to Christians. He says, but now you must also rid yourself of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. And he goes on to say, hey, and don't lie as well. And so when we do start to think, all right, how do I watch my words? Yes, it comes from the way that our heart, but we do need to think, all right, I'm not going to slander. I'm not going to use filthy language. I'm going to try to avoid those things. I'm not going to lie. But then